Can't believe Trent's dead.
When she learned of the old man's death, she was visibly shocked. She said the man's name was Trent, and that he was her neighbor. Ever since she learned Trent was ill, she had visited him frequently at the hospital. The woman insisted. She left the hospital at 9:30 that morning, and had Metro card records to prove it. Sherlock estimated Trent's time of death to be around 10:30. If she left at 9:30, the adrenaline would have been injected too early, and she was cleared of suspicion. So who else would want to harm Trent? Suddenly recalled the sliced breakfast pastry in the room. The woman said the pastry had already been cut. When she arrived, Sherlock immediately concluded the person who cut the pastry was the killer, because that meant the person not only had medical knowledge, but would intentionally approach patients at their most vulnerable moments to comfort them. Cutting adult food into child-sized pieces was not an act of kindness, but a way to create dependency. That meant the killer was a predator, someone who deliberately targeted the vulnerable, and the hospital was his hunting ground. To verify this theory, Sherlock contacted Dr. Paul, the head of surgery, and demanded medical records for all deceased patients. He then filtered out patients who had died of heart issues over the past 2 years. The results showed multiple overlapping patterns. Sherlock returned to Dr. Paul once again. 2 years earlier, Paul had been sued by a patient's family over a medical accident. The incident cost the hospital a large settlement. From that point on, Paul's position at the hospital became extremely awkward. First, Sherlock thought Paul was acting out of resentment, seeking revenge against the hospital.
At the time Mr. Kelty was killed, yesterday, I was on a train from my home in White Plains. But I gotta get back to work, and it seems like you do too.
The trail went cold again. To find a breakthrough, the police began re-examining every doctor in the hospital. Before long, a surgeon named Khalil caught their attention. He was the hospital's longest-serving resident, involved in nearly half of all surgeries. When the police approached him, Khalil clearly seemed off. He was visibly nervous, constantly tapping the keys on the desk with his fingers. His explanation sounded reasonable.
Look, I have been on call for the last 29 hours, haven't slept, barely eaten, and still have an hour drive home, so...
The police had no choice but to suspend the questioning for now. But just as Sherlock walked out of the hospital, a small detail suddenly caught his attention. A car was parked outside the entrance, and this car was anything but ordinary.